Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship. This is round number 3 of this season, coming to you tonight from Road Atlanta. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, Road Atlanta F4 cars. This is a pretty fun combo. Road Atlanta, one of my favorite racetracks in the entire country, from amateur to professional sports car racing, some NASCAR series I ran here back in the day, and certainly our fair share of open wheel competition here in the States. This track is just fun, both in the sim and in real life. It's super enjoyable. Off the back of some very challenging races to start off this season here in the SRG F4 Championship, this is just going to be a fun little way for these drivers to maybe let their hair down, despite this track being a bit of a menace too.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Ron. It can be a little bit of a menace, can it? It is a really fast, hustly race car track, perfect for these F4 machinery, in my opinion. It will be it'll be a good one out there. Lots of fun in that car, I think, around here. And it is a power track for sure, so these things don't have a lot of power. You're going to have to use that momentum. Draft will be in play today for sure. There are places to pass around here. And kind of as we join qualifying here right now, it does look like we're going to be fairly close together here as a field as well. So nobody really putting in those lap times quite yet, but they should start falling here pretty soon. And you know, if I had any prediction, Ron, I think it's going to be a fairly tight field around here. We all know this track pretty well. We've all raced here quite a bit, and I would imagine as well, you know, some of us have done those the Petit Le Mans stuff around here as well. So, you know, I think this is going to be a good one. You know, this is one of those tracks that maybe you expect a little bit from, and that can make things dangerous, but we know these guys have pretty good heads on their shoulders these days, so I think we're going to be all right out there, and I'm really looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a lot of fun. Got the familiar names that we have seen all season long here in this championship, including our very own Mr. J.R. Gregory, who's a late addition to the party, did not run in practice, trying to get out there on the racetrack here in qualifying. But along with that, we got Brian Szynski, who as it stands at the moment is currently qualified in second. Stevie Ray, who we have in the camera shot right now. It's certainly going to be very fun here tonight. It is going to be a fun one for sure. I'll say a quick little point talking about the way the cookie crumbles so far here tonight. Although we're still very early on this qualifying session, we'll note Brian Szynski was fastest in practice, but it was only 0.02 of a second between he and Damian Dietrich there for the top 2 practice times. So if that tells you everything you need to know, it is going to be incredibly competitive here.
Yeah, I think so. I really think it is. You know, Road Atlanta, like I was saying, I think a lot of people have their, you know, they have got a lot of laps around here. They like this track. It's a really racy track, I think we all like, and I'm sure that most of the drivers here have turned a lot, so I think we're going to get a pretty good one. And as you mentioned there, the times just very, very close together here as well through the field, and I think that's probably going to continue throughout qualifying here and get even closer past second place here pretty soon. Stevie Ray popping in a pretty good time today with a 22.214. Not too bad. Christopher Yee using everything right there through that blind corner. One of the more difficult corners to get right on this track. Once you do get it, you know, you can eye it in pretty good, and you're sort of just slinging that car over that section of the track. You're kind of perceiving yourself ahead of it before you actually get there, and that's kind of how you get through that part of the track. Another just beautiful livery on Stevie's car again there as well. I don't know. Got some pretty nice liveries on those cars with the American flags and the shiny Weekend Warrior stuff there for sure. But maybe we'll see if we can't pick someone up here, Ron, for a lap. Let's see if we can't find somebody who's on a flyer right now. Brian Szynski here just about to wrap up this lap here. Maybe I can pick him up as we come out under the bridge that actually, you remember correctly, Ron, we've actually seen an F4 car hit that bridge. Not the bottom side of it either. You can actually hit the pedestrian part of that bridge, but here we are down the front straightaway. A bit of a small rip here, not somewhere you're gonna try to go up the inside too often, but it does happen. Want to really snipe that inside apex and try to keep the car tucked in there so you don't go too wide, and that'll help you open up this section right here. Is going to give you a better line through there. Brian Szynski's gonna miss that one this time, unfortunately. You can see how hard it actually can be to get through that section right there. Maybe we'll try to pick somebody else up here just coming down the S's now. So here you're pretty much flat in an F4 car, not having to worry about it too much. You're going to take a bunch of curb on the inside, a bunch of curb on the outside here again, and then what I like to call the rodeo section here on, where it just gets really bumpy and it's not easy to get through that section. You're clipping a little bit of inside curb. You're trying to open up the track a little bit wide as well. It looks like, at least in this case, Greg Meyer not going to take that one. And then this section here, this double apex, basically a hairpin, is going to be one of the most important, if not the most important part of the track. You need to get through there, and most importantly, you need to get on the gas early to get this big, long back straightaway here done. And you're going to be able to get a draft through here down into 10A and 10B. You know, this is a spot too where you have so much time to think about these two corners. They just become somewhat unnatural by the time you get there. It's a place you really need to practice. Lots of curb on the inside. You can see him taking a little too much there of the car. And I think we're going to see that happen more than a couple times, Ron. But that's pretty much a lap around Road Atlanta here. You can see just how difficult it really is by some of our top drivers here having some issues.
Yeah, that is most of a lap of Road Atlanta and all of the pitfalls of Road Atlanta put on full display right there. But yeah, this track is certainly a menace. It's one that through the years, although there have been a couple of alterations, the last being in 1998 when they added in that turn 10 chicane, has remained holding on to the same silhouette since its opening back in 1970. They knew what they were doing when they put pen to paper to design this track way back in the day, and it also holds a pretty odd distinction. So to those who, like me, grew up on the old Forza games, my first racing game that I really sunk my teeth into was Forza Motorsport 4, and oh my, was that a gem of a game. But there were three fictional tracks, all located in Spain in that game. And I realize I'm a poet and I don't know it there with that line, but there were three tracks right around each other that, you know, were pretty much, you can connect all of them to make one giant layout. I forget the name of the facility. I'll probably pull it up at some point between now and the end of the broadcast, potentially later on when we're doing the interviews. But this track almost has, I believe it's Lanier Speedway on the other side of the highway, right outside of Road Atlanta, where it exists in real life, exists here in the sim. I'm not sure. I'll have to do a little bit of experimentation. I'm not sure if iRacing has it in the same track feed. So if you zoom out far enough, if that is the case, you may be able to see both of them in one shot. But very close quarters for this place. Not even, you know, talking about the other racetrack here. This place as its own really packs a punch as we see Jair Gregory learning the ropes, trying to get it woed up as he headed his way through turns number 2, 3, and 4. Still making some good progress here in this qualifying session. Christopher Yee is your top qualifier right now at a 121.7. Brian Szynski currently set to join him on the front row. Jason Gress is qualified in third with Damian Dietrich and Greg Meyer rounding out your top 5. We ride on board with Meyer there in the Taco Bell machine, currently holding on to that spot. 16 drivers currently have set qualifying times. But Josh, you mentioned another good point about it, which we see Greg Meyer hand through right now. This massive back straightaway, they use land planes on this back straightaway to bring in substances, so we'll just call them substances. But it nearly clocks in at a full mile long. I believe it's 0.829 of a mile in length. That is maybe the longest straightaway we'll be visiting all season long.
Yeah, it's definitely a really long one. Gives you a long time to think about A, those two corners, and B, if you're going to go up the inside or the outside of your competitor into them. And, you know, they're deceivingly difficult, Ron. They look simple on paper. They even look simple as you're rolling up to them, but there is a trick to those corners. They're a little different every time. I've been doing them for years and still trying to optimize them. I think I got a pretty good line through there now, but I can tell you it took a few years, honestly, to really understand every piece of this track, and especially 10A and 10B, getting it right, taking just enough curb and just enough of an angle, you know, a little bit counterintuitive as to what you might think it is. And there is a few corners like that around here as well. It's a deceivingly difficult track, and you get a lap done, and before you know it, you're on another one, and before you know it, you're on another one, and that's sort of how it happens. It just keeps coming at you. That back straight does give you a little bit of a break for sure, but you know, the lap around here being about a minute and 21 seconds is not a long time. And you know, I can say from experience doing the Petit Le Mans around here a couple times that you can get a lot of laps done in an hour around here, especially depending on what kind of machinery it is. Jacob Guyton a little bit out of pace today. He's not. He's usually up a little bit higher than 12th place. So maybe Road Atlanta not one of his favorite places, or perhaps just struggling to put that lap down. Like we said, Ron, it's really easy to off track around here when you're optimizing the lap. It's really easy to make a little mistake and have a spin, as we've seen from some of our other drivers here as well. But it does look a little bit mixed up, doesn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, it is slightly shuffled at the current moment. You've got Yee and Szynski up towards the front. Now Dan Szynski, Brian's brother, bringing up a good point that Brian does not have to learn this track. He's driven it many, many times before in sim. And I think I did ask him this question last week, but I have the memory of a goldfish nowadays, so I can't remember the answer as to whether he's driven around here before in real life. It would be a bit of a trek up there from the Midwest, but I mean, it's still one heck of a facility, and one that Brian certainly knows like the back of his hand here on iRacing. But you look at that, you look at some of the top drivers throughout the season qualifying a bit farther behind. You got Henry Ryback currently qualified in 9th, Jacob Guyton down there in 12th, J.R. Gregory holding on to P13. Now, one thing we know about J.R., he is a sports car guy, but trying to learn the ropes with this F4 car, and currently qualified in lucky spot P13 at the current moment, with a minute left to go here in this qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely sports car guy out here trying his hand at some open wheel stuff. Had some pretty good success here so far. I'm thinking maybe today too. We got some specialists around here probably. Like I was saying in the beginning, you got some you have people who really know this place really, really well, and they've done a Petit Le Mans, and they maybe raced in a bunch of different cars and they love it. And then there's some other people who don't really like this track very much. It does definitely split the community in every league that I've ever been in. So probably seeing a little bit of that as well today. You've got some specialists out there really able to pop the laps in, and then some other people that just don't have as much experience around here or don't like this track as much. And Road Atlanta is one of those that you either love lapping or you can kind of care less. And if you love it, you've probably done a lot of laps around here. Every time it pops up, you probably jumped into one of those official races or jumped on the chance to drive it. And I think this is that kind of track here. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what we can get done here today. This is one of those tracks that, it can really bring the rookie out of the rookie, because you do get a little bit maybe, a little kind of expect things around here perhaps. This is one of the tracks, early, at least in my sim racing career, that I felt like I was fast at, and I felt like I could make moves around. And that's one thing you kind of have to whoa up a little bit sometimes. You have to think twice about it, and I guess we'll see how that happens today with the F4 guys.
And that's certainly a good point to bring up there, Mr. Wilkie. So this could get feisty here for round number 3 of the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship. I want to thank you all for tuning into the action here on SMB tonight. Hearing once again from Dan that Brian has not run around here. However, their old man Bill has run around here back when the SCCA National Championship runoffs were still held here back in the day, and also ran at many other events and different runoffs in the 80s. I'm just seeing this message. And Donnie Isley, who we've seen some of the Isleys run in the Weekend Warrior stuff as well. Shows you the good little SCCA to sim connection that we have got through Ray Esports and all that stuff. Of course, Stevie started organizing the official SCCA iRacing League back during the pandemic, and then eventually that morphed off into Ray Esports once the pandemic stopped, and the SCCA and their unwielding hubris decided not to stay around with sim racing, because it wouldn't be the SCCA if they didn't do something like that. Trust me, as someone who's a junior carter, I know that they like to invest in their future, which is why they killed the junior card program with the blink of an eye. But before I get my 11-year SCCA membership rammed down my throat, I think we're going to switch attention here from the end of qualifying into the start of this 20-minute long race. And Christopher Yee going to grab the pole position here, Josh. That now makes it 3 separate pole sitters in the first 3 races here this season. Once again, a very competitive season.
Yeah, absolutely. We're loving to see that kind of stuff. Quickly, maybe we will get through our points championship here just before the race starts here. Jacob Guyton's going to be leading us in first place with, there we go, with 41 points. Real close in the top 5 there, Ron. And then I'll let kind of the everybody just have a look at that one down to 10. we have a pretty close battle here across the whole field, so it's going to be a pretty interesting one. But we have a race start coming our way, Ron, and the overlay has decided to get stuck, so we're going to quickly reset that bad boy, and then we are going to reset and get a race going here, Ron.
Yeah, the Power WD-40 does some absolutely marvelous things, and there it is. Christopher Yee going to start from the pole position. That timed out perfectly. Brian Szynski going to join him on the front row. Damian Dietrich going to start in third. Next to him will be Jason Chess. Greg Meyer will start in fifth. Stevie Ray is in sixth. Matthew Hunter will be in seventh. Alongside him will be Jose Navas Molina. It is going to be Robert Park starting in ninth. Jacob Guyton completing your top 10, with Henry Ryback starting this race in 11th place. Bob Eggert alongside him there in P12. Lucky spot P13 will go to Flying Line Racing's Mr. J.R. Gregory, with Ken Glasser in 14th, Brenna Ketanani in P15, Kenny Stepp in P16, with Dan Clark completing your 17 drivers set to grab the green flag here in just a few moments time. Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning into the action on Slow Motion Broadcasting, as we're just waiting for one more driver to line up there on that starting grid before we can get a start to this race. It's Ken Glasser now officially lining up, about to get things up, rocking and rolling here for the third race of the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship here in season number 3 of 2026. A green flag flies, and the drivers are on their way. Pretty smooth start as the field tries to careen their way down to turn number 1. Avoid drama like the plague and try and get off to the best start that you can.
Yeah, as we go 3 wide right away, Szynski is out in the grass. Unfortunately, got hung out to dry there. Looks like he is going to be able to gather it back up and get on the track, but man, that happens so often around here into this first section of the course, Ron. So you really have to try to sort it out before you get through this section here and down into the S. This is not a place where you want to try to be going too wide, and we saw everybody fighting for it there into T1, 3 wide, and unfortunately something had to give, and it was going to be Brian Szynski this time. He's going to lose a couple positions, but Christopher Yee off to a great start. Greg Meyer just behind him, and then you will find Jason Chess, who is under pressure from Damian Dietrich. So pretty good start here so far. A little bit of argy-bargy there at the beginning, but it looks like we all have wings and wheels on everything so far, so we're doing okay so far, Ron.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Brian Szynski go off the road right at the get-go. Still a long way left to go here in this race, as side by side heading down the back straightaway off into turn number 10. It's Damian Dietrich and Jason Chess squabbling up for the apex of turn 10A through 10B right now. This could get dicey. It could get ugly. A little bit of an off-track excursion there for Chess, and he's going to lose out on that challenge. Now side by side, Jose Navas looking to punch out and try and jump his way up into 4th in that 4 machine. He's going to get it done. Now Chess in a world of hurt as he's trying to get a move done on Jose Navas Molina, as right behind him is Matthew Hunter trying to get something done, and Brian Szynski now gonna dive down side by side off into 2, 3, and 4. That's Jason Chess jumping his way up into 4th. That move coming out of absolutely nowhere. Navas gets sent down to the back of the bus, and now Szynski hitching a ride back up into the top 5.
Yeah, it is getting aggressive out there right away, and that is exactly what this track just seems to breed around here. It really does. It gets you kind of lit up under your butt a little bit. You really want to go and get it done. It is a hustly track, and Jason Chess getting some pretty awesome moves done there for sure. Nice and opportunistic, used it when he needed it, and it worked out for him. Brian Szynski, though, you can tell he definitely has his foot up against that firewall. He wants to gain these positions back. He knows he can do it. You've got actually Chess there trying to break the draft in front of him, and we all know that means he knows he's under attack. It's going to be futile, of course, at this point to try to break that draft. You want to pretty much just keep it going, keep this momentum going, see if you can break away from this back. Szynski on the inside's gonna get it done, and he's gonna be able to keep it together on exit as well, but they are gonna be going side by side under the bridge, Ron.
This is a brilliant start to this race. Side by side down the hill, off through the final corner. Chess and Szynski just barely separated by a couple of hundredths as they headed their way across the stripe to start yet another lap. Chess gets it done. Heading through turn number 1, he clears Szynski there for P5, but Brian is still there looking for it, trying to find any way in the book to jump his way up into that spot. In the meantime, stop battling going on right now, and a crash for Jose Navas heading off through turn number 2, 3, and 4. He nearly got joined there as it nearly ended in tears And side by side, J.R. Gregory, that's himself and Pranay Kataneni, has more trouble farther up the road. It's Stevie Ray dropping down the running order along with Matthew Hunter. Been a wild start to proceedings here at Road Atlanta as we take a look to see what happens. Stevie making contact with Hunter heading down the hill, side by side racing, and things got ugly real quick.
Yeah, that looked like just a little bit of confusion over who wants to be where and who should be where. Oh, another spun car there as well, so we have a little bit to catch up with. I'm actually going to jump back quickly to the front here. Greg Meyer and Christopher Yee now fighting for the lead of this race, so there is all kinds of stuff going on out there, and we are only 4 minutes in, Ron. Pretty big gaps throughout the field here so far. We're going to have to see if we can't get back to a few of our replays here. See what happened to Jose Navas Molina there. Looked like he got a little bit tripped up in that blind section of the course there. Greg Meyer now looking, just hounding the back of Christopher Yee. Let's get to this replay here with Molina and see if we can't see exactly what happened, Ron.
Yeah, side-by-side racing with himself and Matthew Hunter hanging down to turn number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hunter ran wide, and then Navas just kind of got spooked. He was expecting him to rejoin in an abrupt way, and in the process of that, spooked himself into a moment. I will say the issues did not stop there between those drivers, as not only did Navas get hit, nearly at this moment there with Pranay Kataneni and J.R. Gregory. You can see that from J.R.'s perspective, heading his way through that section. Then later on in that lap, Hunter and Navas had another collision. They're now running at 14th and P15, so we take a look to see what happened here.
This is Hunter, Stevie.
Hunter, that was him and Stevie Ray. That was heading down the S's into turn number 5, where things went awry real quickly. I gotta say, I was worried when Stevie's car pitched up on 2 wheels like that he was going to end up in trouble. I will also say as well, Josh, of all the races to be on double duty for you, having to work the comms and the cams, these drivers choose now to choose violence. You poor son of a... Up now with the fields, we take a look at more replays.
Okay, that's what happened there. So we thought maybe that had to do with some of the drivers in the front, but it actually looks like Cantonelli just kind of getting off the track on his own there and just sort of collecting himself with those drivers is now actually Greg Meyer right behind Christopher Yee, putting on as much pressure as humanly possible there through T1. And yeah, I definitely have my hands full here for sure on it. It is a busy one, but you know, sometimes being up in the booth for these busy ones can be really fun as well. You get some good calls and have a little bit of fun with it too. But it looks like things have kind of lulled out a little bit now. Maybe we can get back to some of our passing and stuff that happened there as well. I think we pretty much covered most of our off tracks here. I would like to go back actually and have a look at what happened to Brian Szynski right off the rip here, Ron.
Yeah, so here it was at the start of this race, and Brian has found himself in the weeds ever since we got the green flag. Of course, literally being with the weeds here. Yeah, actually, I just realized with the history of this place has a little bit of a double entendre, but I'll refrain from elaborating any more on that. And I will actually... I want to give flowers to Dan in the YouTube chat, who said that chess was playing checkers early. That is a me line if I've ever seen it. Well done. That is, I like that line quite a lot there. But back up at the front, Christopher Yee and Greg Meyer still covered by about a quarter of a second as they start yet another lap here. Yee at the moment already 7 laps in, 7 minutes in, pushing lap 6, excuse me. But now these two up at the front have got some company, and some interested company at that. It's Damian Dietrich in the 444 machine, currently holding on to 3rd right now. He's been able to reel these drivers in at a rate of knots, and for Dietrich, your winner at Mexico City last time out after starting that race from the pole, looking to try and get another good run of form here in this race. Back-to-back wins would be in order if he can get some moves done, but things may be a little bit easier than that, as you can see Greg Meyer trying to attack Yee, heading down into turn number 6 and 7. Thought better of it though.
Yeah, that's a place you kind of want to try to maybe throw your competitor off a little bit, see if you can get them to get a bad exit down this section here, and then they're just a sitting duck basically for you to be able to draft and pass. Even with Meyer now, he may have a little bit of a run here. It's going to be a close one, but he may have a chance up the inside here, and he is going to actually look up the inside. He's got a chance here. Will Christopher Yee defend against it? And he is going to defend against it, so that's going to slow them down a little bit. That is going to add to Dietrich's deficit between the 3 of them here. He's going to be able to have a pretty good look at both of them pretty soon here, so That's just goes to show you again, sometimes it is still pretty early in the race here. It's not necessarily the worst idea to let your competitor out in front of you for a little bit, get some drafting, kind of relax a little bit, and keep going. But now that they have pressure from Dietrich behind, you do probably want to keep road position, and he is going to be looking up the outside there of Greg Meyer. Oh, and that was a big intimidation move there from Dietrich, and it is going to work on Greg Meyer, who's going to just kind of maybe get his eyesight just a little bit off the prize there for a moment, and he's going to lose his footing and lose a position.
Yeah, those three cars nearly turn into Noon's cradles as they headed their way through 2, 3, and 4. Unfortunately for Greg Meyer, the ping pong ball in the middle of it nearly ran into the back of Christopher Yee, and then nearly got ran into by Damian Dietrich. Ran wide through the turn. That has actually broken up the battle up in the front just a little bit as Brian Szynski spinning as he heads his way out of turn number 7 right there in the back of Shot. Able to get back up and rolling, going to hold on to P5 for now, but that will be very short-lived as Henry Ryback and Jacob Guyton going to look to try and get a move done here very, very soon. First to pounce is Ryback. Soon to follow is Guyton side by side. Ryback odd line there as they headed their way towards the crest. Brian Szynski at the moment getting bullied at there on the road, still side by side towards the turn number 10 chicane, and that's going to be Jacob Guyton jumping up another spot. Guyton, who we noted started a little bit farther in the back, currently up 4 spots from where he started in this race, but Henry Ryback, props where props are due, 7 spots gained since the drop of the green flag, cutting his way through the field like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely threw a bit of a shoulder out there for sure at Brian down the straightaway there. He's going to make sure he just kind of keeps him a little bit wide there, so maybe to try to get his exit a little bit messed up, make sure that pass is going to work. And of course that's totally legal and everything. It's not necessarily going to make any friends that way, but it is totally legal and a move that you want to use. You want to try to get you have to intimidate out there a little bit too. And there's that rodeo I was talking about, Ron. That one's going to hurt the backside a little bit in a car like this, and it's not easy to keep the car kind of gathered up through that section right there. It's really not easy. When you get that section right, you basically are kind of hop, skipping, and jumping, and he's going to make up some good time back end of the course here for sure. This is the end of the course where a lot of people struggle, I find, Ron. Through that final corner out onto this back straightaway here is so important, and it looks like we're all going to have a chance here into 10A, 10B. Let's see what happens.
Oh, this could get very dicey. You can see Jacob Guyton had a good run on Henry Ryback as Szynski had a good run on the both of them. Thought that was going to turn into a 3-car pincer movement down into the turn 10 chicane, but they all thought better of it. In the meantime, Damian Dietrich has been able to shuffle out into the race lead. It was side-by-side racing with himself and Christopher Yee, hang down to turn number 10. That ends in the favor of the 444 driver. So a long way left to go here in this race, just a tick past the halfway mark. Still a good move here as we take a look to show you what happened. Here's Damian Dietrich, the German, in that 444 machine. This is fine. Everything is fine as he goes side by side down this massive, disproportionately long back straightaway with the googly eyes on the front of the car, looking to try and get this move done, and he backs out of it. Christopher Yee does before they even think about breathing on that brake pedal. I always say when it comes to a side-by-side fight that takes 2 to tango, that is most certainly the case in going side by side through turn 10.
Yeah, absolutely. You do definitely have to play ball through there, and it does look like Damian Dietrich does have a little bit of pace here today for sure, now pulling away about 1.6 seconds away from Christopher Yee and Greg Meyer, who are still battling down the back straight here into 10A, 10B. So maybe if they work together, you can't push each other in these cars really at all. Obviously, you don't really want to try that with that wing out there, but you could, slingshot each other a little bit around the track, but that's going to be a little more difficult, and you really do have to kind of be one mind together to make that one work. Not always the easiest prospect at all. So it looks like perhaps Dietrich going to kind of march away here now, almost gaining another second as we speak here. Greg Meyer just behind Christopher Yee. Then we're going to find Jason Chess, who also is about another almost 2 seconds now, 1.6 seconds behind this pack, and then a little bit more of a gap. And then we have another little fight there with Jacob Guyton and Brian Szynski. You can see those numbers on your screen now on that timing tower. The red ones being closest, yellow being not quite as close, and white being our biggest gaps on the field. So again, I think it's actually showing here a little bit, like we were saying in the beginning. You have your specialists around here. You have your people that like this track. You have your drivers that don't like this track so much, and it really does start to show itself by the end of the race here.
Yeah, I think I made this comparison the last time that we were doing a two-man booth here in the F4 League at Winton last season, which coincidentally, our colleague here on these shows throughout the season, Mr. James McDonald, was victorious in. I remember we were talking about food and everything just kind of spiraled out of control, and a comparison that I've made a decent amount as of recent. Maybe it's just down to the fact that I'm eating too much or whatever the deal may be. See, here's the thing. I would rather be stressed out of my mind and well-fed than be stressed out of my mind and hungry. So that's why I eat like Elvis Presley. Side by side, Greg Meyer looking to take that race lead in the Taco Bell car. Gonna jump in front with a move through the final turn. But I was just gonna say, different racetracks are kind of like different cuisines. You've got to be an expert in them to try and do well. Take, a track here like Road Atlanta, for an instance. If you are a Road Atlanta specialist and running around here, it's fine. It's like if you went through culinary school and spent your entire time, rising up the culinary ranks and learning your skills as a chef, preparing sushi, if you got thrown into the deep end of the pool and had to make yourself a pizza, things probably wouldn't go too well. And the same is true. There's a sushi place in my neck of the woods here in the city of Philadelphia that I still do not trust, called John's Sushi House. There's something questionable going on right there. I'm not sure if I want John, who used to be the manager of a Domino's Pizza, to be making me rolls of sushi. They may look good, but I'm definitely going to stay home the next day because I don't want an over-the-counter laxative effect. Anyways, we've got race cars going around a track like right now. We follow Matthew Hunter, currently holding on to 11th. This is a hornet's nest we've got right now towards the tail end of your top 10. It's he, Eggert, and Glasser all squabbling up. This is tight.
Yeah, they've got him boxed in here for sure. Not going to let him out. He wants to pass, but he's not going to let him out, and he is actually going to just barely squeeze through that gap now. So definitely applying the pressure there a little bit to Hunter in that situation there, who's going to try to split the difference here, and he is going to get it done with a little bit more pace than the other two drivers for now. But that was a bit of a schmozzle for a moment there, wasn't it, Ronit? You can find yourself in those situations when you have open wheel car there. Is not necessarily the most comfortable thing to have to go through there, but they made pretty short work of it, and he's actually going to take that position now, and looks like maybe he's got a little bit more pace, but the 25 going to be applying the pressure here as we keep going on. Let's have a look at our timing tower now, and you can see those gaps. We got a little bit more yellow and orange numbers on there, don't we, Ron? So there is some fighting still happening out there.
Yeah, we have got fights and battles throughout this pack. You love to see it. I gotta say, entering this season of Sim Racers Group action, we were wondering how things were gonna shake out with so many drivers taking this step up to move into the F3 League that you can also catch here in slow motion broadcasting every single Wednesday night. We weren't really sure what the consequences or what things were going to look like here in the F4s, but what we have seen so far this season is incredibly competitive racing, a really wide open championship, but despite that, we're about to get a two-time race winner, Damian Dietrich, only about 3.5 minutes away from yet another win. That would be 2 wins in the first 3 rounds. The German having a pretty firm hand on this F4 car so far here this season. We've still got battles throughout the field, though the battling for those final 2 podium spots far from over, as Greg Meyer and Christopher Yee only covered by about 1/10 of a second a few moments ago. The gap does fan out as look at Robin Park skidding around like a declawed cat trying to climb up an igloo, heading down the hill off into the final turn. All sorts of crossed up there in that 200 machine, diving down the inside into turn number 1, looking for the spot on Ken Glasser, and going to take that spot. Glasser looking for a fight back into 2, 3, and 4, but not close enough. That's P11 for Park.
Yeah, it looked like Glasser actually opened the door a little bit there, went for the undercut, and couldn't quite make that one work. But that's going to be a good pass for Robin Park on Ken Glasser to make up one more position into P11. But it doesn't look like Ken Glasser is going to give that one up easy here, as you can see that number now turning orange and ticking down. He is going to have a run here down the back straightaway. Maybe we'll stick with this for a moment and see if he can't get a good exit out of this final complex here onto that back straight. He's going to take it wide, not going to get a great one, but neither did Robin Park by the looks of it. They look like they've kind of evened out a little bit there on. I'm not sure the 41 going to have a chance quite this lap, so he's going to have to make up a bit of a deficit there. You can see just behind him too, Dan Clark is in the background there as well, clicking away laps. Jose Navas Molina having a bit of a rough one here today, didn't he, Ron? It's not necessarily his best showing, but up front we are definitely still fighting here now for the final positions on the podium, and he's going to squeeze by there again. Oh, and unfortunately, Christopher Yee going to lock him up and go straight on through there. That is going to be maybe just a little bit, again, of target fixation and just got lost a bit.
I'm not sure why all of a sudden I sound like an opera singer there when those two cars nearly came to blows as they headed their way out of turn number 1. Well, I know exactly why. They nearly crashed, and I nearly crashed my head into the nearest wall. My goodness me, look at that. That was a matter of inches between those drivers. I gotta say, never the opportunist, Jason Chen has certainly been going for some bold moves so far here in this race. Probably not winning too many friends here in this race, but hey, we're working out right now, holding on to P3. May have a good shot at second as well. Greg Meyer is only 0.4 of a second farther up the road. However, time is rapidly running out here in round number 3 of this season. The white flag is in the air for Damian Dietrich to try and seal the deal in his second race win in a row as the battles continue throughout the pack. It's battling for second, it's battling for sixth that we've got on screen right now. Szynski punching out in front of Ryback to jump up that spot, although Szynski runs a little bit wide on corner exit, heading out turn number 10, and Ryback looking to fight down the inside. This could get tense with the lap car there right up in front. How's this going to work? That's a 66 of Ken Estep. Brian Szynski blinking out big time there, diving down on the lap car into turn number 1. That was bold stuff from Brian. He made it work. I'm not even sure if he thought that move was going to work, but it did. He jumps into that. He's holding on to P6 comfortably now, and now we got to see how long it'll be until he can finally take a breath and finally relax in what has been a very stressful night for him in that number 84 machine. The battling for second, though, still far from over. Here's Greg Meyer and Jason Chess. Meyer in that number 8 Taco Bell machine, a series veteran here in the Sim Races Group Formula 4 Championship. He's looking to get a good run of form and maybe even pitch a ride up into the F3s for next season. However, Jason Chess is hitching a ride right behind him. He's firmly locked in the draft, heading down the back straightaway off into turn number 10. Best golden overtaking opportunity right now, and Jason Chess gonna dive for it down the inside into the turn, but Meyer gonna be able to hold on. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Damian Dietrich gonna win this race as it's so close behind Meyer. I think we'll get the nose out to finish this race in P2. Jason Chess rounds at your podium in third. Brian Szynski able to shake off the challenge from Henry Ryback on that final lap like a bad case of the fleas. Jacob Guine, fantastic recovery, rounds at your top 5. Close little battle may end the way of Matthew Hunter there between himself and Bob Eggert. You can see those two drivers covered by only 0.3 of a second at the end of over 21 minutes of racing action. And breathe.
Yeah, some great final laps there for sure. Some great driving from Brian Szynski and from Jason Chess, Greg Meyer, Christopher Yee. Damian Dietrich going to take the win today as well. Pretty commandingly there. Definitely had some pace out there, but yeah, we saw some pretty awesome final moves there. Dispatching with a little bit of lap traffic there. Obviously, Ken Estep doing his best to stay out of the way and did a great job to just be predictable on the outside there and let Brian through, as well as Brian taking that opportunity and using that inside line there. It was a little bit risky for sure, but he made that one stick, and he's going to hold on to that position because of it. So that's pretty cool stuff there. Molina not having the greatest race today for sure. A little bit struggling around Road Atlanta. We do see him with a little bit more pace. Usually Robin Park as well having a little bit of issues today. We did see him sideways on the track as well as Quintaneni, and Kenny Step's going to bring it home as well for a solid finish in 16th tonight as well. So great racing out there around Road Atlanta. I think this was a good one. Again, you know, like I said, this place can kind of bring the rookies out of the rookie, and we saw maybe just a little bit of that tonight, but mostly we saw some really good racing. You know, a few steps wrong, but nothing totally egregious there at all. So loving the way the F4 series is shaping up.
Yeah, now this has been a brilliant start to this season, and you'll be able to see all of the action all season long here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. SMB Summer Got the summer off, started on a great note. Although Damien Dietrich is still having trouble to get those donuts clean, he's been getting more practice because he has been doing well here in these races. His second win in a row. We'll get the opportunity to have a chat with some of these drivers here in a few moments' time. In the meantime, let's see as these drivers burn it down on the start-finish straightaway. Your race results here. Round number 3 of this season at Road Atlanta. The F4s once again put on one heck of a show, and it's Damien Dietrich, the German, behind the wheel of the 444 car, scoring the victory. Greg Meyer will come home in a very hotly contested P2 there in the Taco Bell machine. This is a time where we stall for clarity. Just muttered to Ross here for a couple of moments as I try and get the Taco Bell dong. There we go.
Nice.
God bless America. That is awesome. Greg Meyer ends up in second. Jason Chess will end up only 0.3 of a second back in third. I gotta say, Jason Chess may not have gained some friends, but he certainly, gained our attention here on the broadcast. He was a showman throughout this race. Rounds out your podium in third. Christopher Yee will be in fourth. Jacob Guyton in P5. Brian Szynski, who's up and down the field like Otis Elevator, still trying to get a grips to these downforce cars, ends up in sixth. Henry Ryback is in seventh. Mr. J.R. Gregory ends up in P8. Matthew Hunter is in ninth, with Bob Eggert completing our top 10.
And then 11th, you'll find Ken Glasser. In 12th, you have Dan Clark. In 13th, you have Jose Navas Molina. In 14th, you have Robin Park. 15th, Pranay Kentaneni. And that's going to be the last of our drivers that aren't a lap down there. Kenny Stepp's going to be one lap down, and Stevie Ray, unfortunately, right near the beginning of the race there, only a few laps in, got in a tangle and ended up not finishing this one. So he's going to be 11 laps down. But that was a great race run for sure around Road Atlanta. Always love it when we come here, and the F4 machinery around here very, very racy as we saw today.
Yeah, it was an incredible race. This was one of those races that us as broadcasters absolutely adore. You gotta be on your toes from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. And I'm sure the viewers enjoyed it as well, seeing everybody clearly did enjoy the Taco Bell ding there. Is it a Taco Bell ding or a Taco Bell dong? Either way, a slice of folks.
It's a dong, I think. It's a dong.
You're getting another one, just for good measure there. It's I mean, you got P2, so you gotta give 2 Taco Bell dongs for that. But let's get the interviews up and rolling, shall we? With I think we'll start in reverse order, have a chat with our race winner of Damien Dietrich, who's now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Damien, welcome in. Your second race win in a row, and you get it done in a pretty dramatic fashion here at Road Atlanta. It looked like a very competitive race from our perspective. We barely got the opportunity to catch our breath here in the broadcast booth. How was it from your perspective out there behind the wheel?
Nice. Yeah, glad it was an amazing race. Yeah, it was also a really cool race from my side. I struggled in qualifying to get times in. Yeah, I was like talking to myself, what is going on? Like, Damien, get it together. And yeah, I think in the last 2 minutes, I got a good time on, I got a good lap. Yeah, the race, oh my God, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I think Chris had a bad exit on, the one corner. And yeah, I got him.
Yeah, able to get that move done. I was just going to ask you about how it was like trying to cut through the field. Started this race in third there on the second row, able to make it up to the top spots. But I feel like that doesn't really tell the full story of what was a race with a couple of setbacks late, and then once you finally got up there at the front, you kind of checked away.
Yeah, I had a bad start, and I think I was in fifth at some point. And yeah, I was pretty long behind Greg and Chris. Yeah, I literally parked in corner 3 on the right on the apex. And yeah, hope for the best, and it worked out for second. And yeah, then it was me and Chris.
And it came out your way. You end off this first month of the season now, heading off into the other month of July with 2 wins in 3 races, a pole position in Mexico City as well. Must be feeling good when it comes to carrying momentum into the next race of the season at Lime Rock Park. What are your thoughts heading there?
Yeah, I am still thinking about going down to SRG to meet the guys. It is pretty hard, you know. I know that I can do it at home in my rig. But yeah, I still I want to see the guys, and I think I cannot hold up pace, if that's how you say it.
You know, it's been a strong start to this season, and I can't speak for the folks down there at SRG, but I think they'll probably have to render your services as a potential coach if you have any more good results like this throughout the rest of the season. But Damien, as always, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs before we let you go and celebrate.
Yeah, again, thank you for all the SRG folks. Yeah, I really love the community. And shout out to my wife. She's cheering with me somewhere, I guess.
Hey, there you go. The number one fan,
good.
shall we say. But
Always,
Damien,
yeah.
Damien, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and we hope to see you out there on the racetrack in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Lime Rock Park.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. That right there was Damien Dietrich, our race winner. Josh, I shall pass the microphone off to you and ask who you would like to have a chat with.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll drag our second place finisher here of Jason Chess down in to the booth, and we'll have a talk with Jason today. Jason, that was quite the race out there. Some pretty awesome moves up and down the field there. You were able to make the broadcast there a couple times. Tell us how you felt around here. Is this one of your favorite tracks or not so much?
Not so much, but I did prep for this quite a bit because I knew that it's so tricky. This first part of the course is so tricky with like up and down and all. I love these kinds of like vertical changes, but so I figured like I might have an edge on some of the people who might be a little bit like let me tell you, I learned in this last couple of races, these guys are fast and they do not give a quarter. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome out there for sure. We got some really close racing from right off the rip here too, going splitting the difference up the middle, everybody giving some room. Staszynski kind of hung out to dry there a little bit, but I don't think it was because of anybody taking up too much room or anything. So yeah, we've had some really good racing here in the F4 series in the last little while. And this is a very racy racetrack as well. I find this. I was saying in the run-up, it kind of brings the rookie out of the rookie sometimes, but pretty well held today from everyone.
Yeah, and the other thing is that like I gotta learn how to like the racecraft. I'm good like close quarter racing, but I'm stupid at is like thinking about long-term strategy. Like I was fighting way too much in the beginning of the race, and then the rest of the race, all I was doing was like hoping the same thing would happen up front, which did because Christopher and Greg started fighting, and that like let me get back in. But otherwise, I would have been just sitting there alone, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing. It's how you mature racing for sure. First you get fast, then you get first in traffic, then you get fast for 2 hours in traffic and have a brain for it. And the last one's definitely the hardest part of that whole journey there for sure. But you're saying the right words and thinking the right way. That's for sure. You want to think about that kind of long game at the end. Can you play with people, and work with them for some of the race and not lose that front pack is what it ends up being in a lot of these races once you get to the fine point up at the front. But some really good pace out there, Jason, and like you said, some pretty good moves as well. They're keeping things clean. What are you looking forward to for the next or the rest of the season here? Any favorite tracks coming up, or is it one you're gonna have to practice for a lot?
I love Road America, so I'm looking forward to that one. And we're gonna go to Lime Rock, which is
Lime
twice,
Rock
right?
Yep.
Which is a hilarious track, and it's going to be super fun in these cars. I do want to do one. I want to say one more thing is like Greg and I had like one of my favorite battles at the end there, and like he definitely got the best of me, but it was so like, you know, there's a part of me that's like, dang, but It was so exhilarating. I'm gonna check my pulse meter after this because I think it was like in the 180s or 190s.
That's awesome. Nothing better than getting in a good battle and embracing the race like that, not doing anything too silly, keeping it clean, and getting a good finish at the end too. So before we let you go here, Jason Chess, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I gotta do a shout out to my wife again. She just got she like threw out her back, and she's.
Oh no!
So I'm just like this race was for her, baby.
Right on. Well, you gotta make sure you get that out. Anybody else?
Jason Cotcher, the captain, for just amazingly running this entire series, like the entire league really well, and also doing a lot of coaching on the side. Like he's been privately messaging me like how to approach things and whatever. And yeah, so thanks, Jason.
Excellent. Right on, man. Well,
and
we'll catch you.
You guys are amazing.
Oh, thanks.
I love you.
Yeah, right on. Thank you for the kind words. We love doing it. It's our pleasure every week, Jason. So I got to talk this time too. Usually I'm just sitting here in the booth clicking cameras. So it was a fun night for sure. Hard to keep up with out there, but we'll see you out next time at Lime Rock, man. Have a good week.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
And that right there was Jason Chess, our P3 finisher. Let's round off the interview, shall we, by having a chat with our second place man, that being Greg Meyer in the Taco Bell car. Greg, welcome in. Got that Taco Bell car up to second here in this race. 3 spots gained from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. How was it out there, my friend?
It was fantastic, but honestly, don't ask me how. I'm not sure how I'm here, but I'm happy.
See, it doesn't matter what set of circumstances lead to the result. As long as the result is got, that's what matters.
Yes, that was an extremely difficult track. It's not super difficult, so you feel comfortable, but to get more out of it requires extra level of pushing, which is on the edge. So it was tight. The guys up front I was never going to catch Demian. Chris Yee is about the same pace as me, but he's so smooth. I couldn't get him to make a mistake. I was within a half a second for 6 laps of him, and then it was just I just wanted to stay alive, which I did. So we're happy.
Yeah, it works out very, very well for you here in this race. I do want to ask you about this track here at Road Atlanta. I'm trying to remember the last time we had an F4 race here. It's probably been a couple of seasons. So
I have never run this.
Yeah,
so
I feel like for someone
year.
it has been a venture off into the unknown.
Yes, it's been at least over a year. I haven't ran this in F4 ever. This is my first time getting to know it, and I love this track after learning it. Yeah, it's got a couple interesting. Turn 1 will bite you. Turn 2 and 3 are rough, and then 10A and B are a wild chicane to pass. I thought Jason Chess was gonna pass me at the last lap right there. We came real close, so it was great racing. I'm excited for the rest of the season as well. It's all good tracks the rest of the year, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about Lime Rock next time out. That is going to be a pretty odd racetrack on the classic configuration as well, so a little bit of airtime every single lap. What are your thoughts on there?
I'm excited for that, but I'm way more excited for the second time we run Lime Rock when it rains, because I'm a rain guy. I like to go. I want rain every day, so we got 2 rain races coming up this year, and I can't wait.
So, back in my karting days, first time I ever ran a kart in the rain was at the 2016 SCCA Solo Nationals out in Lincoln, Nebraska, the biggest autocross event anywhere. And ever since then, I've endured racing in the rain to the point where my dad calls me a mudder, which I guess does make sense that he compares me to a racehorse, because I usually have to feed myself a sugar cube after these shows. But either way, Greg, before we let you go and celebrate this second place run, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Shout out to my girlfriend for the support, and all my friends that are watching, and family back home, and SRG, and for you guys. I appreciate the broadcast. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to go back tomorrow and rewatch it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Greg. Thank you for joining us here in the booth, and we hope to see you next time out there at Lime Rock Park.
Thank you.
And beautiful. Perfect way to end off the interviews. Josh, that was, I think I summarized it quite well, how those are the kind of races that us broadcasters love, where we have no shortage of stuff to talk about. We're not talking about the weather forecast in Pango. We're not talking about too much off topic, even though I randomly went off on my discussion talking about, John's Sushi House here, which I haven't been myself. There are some people in the YouTube chat saying that they wouldn't trust that place either. I've heard that the food is very good, but I digress. That was just a fun night to do the job that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It flies by when it's like that. You got no time to think at all. I'm working cameras and talking, and it's just really great to see SRG and the F4 guys getting so racy out there too. We started this a few years back there. Not everybody was quite this racy or that clean or respectful with each other and stuff either. So, we're also hearing even from the drivers today in the interviews there, just the thought process is maturing, and it's pretty awesome, man, to just watch all this happen out there and be a part of it. And like you said, on an excellent race like this, makes the job even better. So good stuff tonight from the SRG crew, and we're looking forward to the rest of them this season.
Yeah, and speaking of the rest of this season, here on SMB Summer, we have got you covered. Of course, tomorrow we have a double feature. You won't see it, but the SKR Sim Racing Championship is going to be running their second round of the championship. That'll be at I should know this because I'm the commentator for that series. I think it's Maunz tomorrow night.
Yes.
Maunz, I know for a fact,
well.
is part of the schedule. So, Maunz will be the next round of the championship for SKR Sim Racing. That'll be at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So, hope to see you all there. And, of course, later on in the night, we'll be able to bring you the next round of the Sim Racers Group F3 Championship. That'll be at Silverstone. I hope to see you all there to kick off the month of July. Later on this week, actually, Josh, I'm going to ask you this. I know that we're running the FVs for the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors Summer Shootout Series at Alton Park this past weekend. Are we going to be broadcasting that? Because I
believe so,
it's
yeah.
A different combination.
Yep, I believe we are got pretty much everything sponsored up for the Ray Esports Summer Racing Series, so it looks like we're going to be doing pretty much everything. I know we got some a message today about FF, and it is still in the works a little bit there, so nothing totally in stone yet, but I believe we have the whole season covered for this season, so it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and of course we've got a lot more action where that
we'll
comes
have FF
from
this
next
week, though. Yes.
Yeah, that'll be some very good fun this upcoming Sunday. And then next Tuesday, first of the double features throughout the summer, you'll be able to catch Josh out there on the racetrack for the season opener for the American Muscle Series. That'll be at Sandown Raceway this upcoming Tuesday. And of course, the next round of the F4 Championship at Lime Rock Park, where you'll catch me on the call and catch me on the cams for the AMS show. And then Wednesday, you'll be able to see the SRG F3 Championship running at Mugello. And then on Thursday, July the 9th, you'll be able to catch the opening race of the brand new season, the Extreme Motorsports Touring Car Cup. I used to do race control for that series. I'll be on the call for that at Brands Hatch on Tuesday, July the 9th at, I believe it's actually 8 p.m. Eastern time. Check your local listings here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Never miss out on any of the racing action by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you're interested, how about you take a look at some of the YouTube shorts that we have posted here on the channel as well. Thank you to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting here tonight. But as for this broadcast here for round number 3, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on tonight's show, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.